Greetings, dear friends. Today I will share with you a tale of love, betrayal, and the unforgettable lessons that life teaches us. Enjoy the story.
The warm summer breeze rustled through the trees of Central Park as Nicole Benson sat on a weathered wooden bench, her hands trembling as she clutched a tissue. Tears streamed down her face, smudging her carefully applied mascara. She took a shaky breath, trying to compose herself before the conversation that would change her life forever. Ryan Vanderbilt walked up to the bench, his designer suit immaculate and his dark hair perfectly styled. At 19, he exuded the confidence and privilege of someone born into wealth and status. He took a seat next to Nicole, maintaining a noticeable distance between them. "What's this about, Nicole?" Ryan asked impatiently, glancing at his watch. "I have places to be." Nicole turned to face him, her blue eyes shimmering with tears. "Ryan, I'm pregnant," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the rustling leaves. Ryan's eyes widened in shock, his mouth slightly open. "What? How? We were careful." "I don't know how it happened," Nicole sobbed, burying her face in her hands. "But it did. I'm going to have a baby, Ryan, our baby." Ryan stood up abruptly, pacing in front of the bench. "This can't be happening. We're too young for this, Nicole. We didn't plan for a child." Nicole looked up at him, her eyes pleading. "I know, but it's happened. We have to face this together, Ryan. I need your support." Ryan stopped pacing, his expression hardening. "Support? Is that what this is about? Are you trying to trap me? You think having a baby with a Vanderbilt will secure your future?" Nicole gasped, hurt flashing across her face. "How dare you accuse me of such a thing?" "I didn't plan this, Ryan. I'm just as scared as you are." Ryan scoffed, pulling out his wallet and tossing a wad of cash at her feet. "Here, take this. But don't think about trying to make this my responsibility." With those words, Ryan stormed off, leaving Nicole devastated, her new reality sinking in. 25 years later, Ryan Vanderbilt sat behind his imposing mahogany desk, the Manhattan skyline stretching out behind him through the floor-to-ceiling windows of his high-rise office. At 44, he had built a business empire, his name synonymous with success. A knock on the door interrupted his thoughts. "Come in," he called out, straightening his silk tie. Rita, his personal assistant, entered the office with an air of efficiency. "Mr. Vanderbilt, I have the quarterly reports you requested," she said, placing a stack of folders on his desk. "I've also scheduled your meetings for the week and made reservations for dinner with your wife tonight." Ryan smiled. "What would I do without you, Rita?" "You're indispensable." Rita met his gaze. "I'm just doing my job, Mr. Vanderbilt, but I remind you again that our relationship is strictly professional." Ryan chuckled, holding up his hands in mock surrender. "Of course, Rita. Your professionalism is part of what makes you so valuable." Rita nodded and turned to leave. As the door closed behind her, Ryan couldn't help but admire her strength and resolve. In a world where many would have taken advantage of his position, Rita remained steadfast in her integrity. That evening, Ryan joined his friends Greg and Victor for dinner. Rita, as his assistant, accompanied him. As the night wore on, Ryan found himself increasingly impressed by Rita's intelligence and grace. Yet, despite the compliments from his friends, he kept his admiration respectful. The evening took an unexpected turn when the head chef came to their table. Ryan's heart skipped a beat. It was Nicole, his past, standing right in front of him. The recognition was immediate, and a heavy silence fell over the table. "Hello, Ryan," Nicole said, her voice calm but laced with the weight of years gone by. Rita glanced between them, confused. Nicole turned to her. "You must be Rita," she said softly, a sad smile on her lips. "I'm Nicole Benson, your mother." Rita's face went pale. "Mom," she whispered, "what are you doing here?" Ryan's eyes widened in shock. "Mom," he stammered, "what do you mean?" Nicole sighed, her shoulders heavy. "Ryan, meet your daughter, Rita, the daughter you abandoned 25 years ago." The table erupted in shock. Rita stood up, her eyes filled with tears. "All this time, you knew?" she asked, her voice trembling. "You knew he was my father, and you never told me." Nicole reached for her daughter's hand, but Rita pulled away. "I wanted to protect you, Rita. I didn't want you to know the kind of man your father was." Ryan stood, his face pale. "Rita, I had no idea." Rita's voice hardened. "You didn't care enough to find out, did you? You walked away from us, from your responsibilities." With those words, Rita turned and left, her head held high despite the tears streaming down her face. Nicole followed, leaving Ryan alone, the weight of his choices crashing down on him. As the years passed, Ryan attempted to make amends, reaching out to both Rita and Nicole, but the damage was done. Rita, strong and determined, built a successful life of her own, never acknowledging the father who had walked away. Nicole's career as a chef flourished, and she found love with a kind man who cherished both her and Rita. Ryan, meanwhile, saw his empire crumble under the weight of his regrets. He lived his final days in solitude, haunted by the family he had abandoned. At his funeral, Rita and Nicole stood together, paying their respects. Not out of love, but out of duty. "I forgive him," Nicole said softly, her hand resting on the polished stone. "Not for his sake, but for ours. I won't let his mistakes define us." Rita nodded. "I forgive him too, but I'll never forget." And with that, they walked away, ready to face the future together, leaving behind the shadows of the past.